After reviewing battling colonialism's impact on the South African economy, I decided to dig a little deeper into the South African economy, Zambia, and focus on the infrastructure, media environment, and social culture. First, I'll be talking about the infrastructure. Zambia is endowed with a wide range of energy resources, which particularly petroleum is the only resource that is currently wholly imported. However, hydropower is the most important energy source in the country. The state-owned Zambia Electricity Supply Corporation is the main producer and distributor of electricity in the country. It is estimated that Zambia possesses 40% of the water resources in the South African development community. The Zambian economy is forecasted to grow 7.5 to 8% annually over the next 5 years. However, to sustain the growth, Zambia needs to upgrade its transportation infrastructure. With it being a landlocked country in the center of the South African region, it relies heavily on its neighbors for vital routes to import and export destinations. The recent government project, Link Zambia 8000, aimed at rehabilitating and constructing the road network and international highways. This is needed because Zambia is the second largest copper producer in Africa, and it relies heavily on its road network to ship mine imports and exports overseas through its 8 neighboring countries. Rail network remains the dominant mode of transportation for goods on the local and international routes. I will now speak on the media within Zambia. Freedom of speech and the press are constitutionally guaranteed, but the government often restricts these rights in practice. Journalists and other outlets have experienced greater violence in the course of their work. Zambia's media market is dominated by ZNBC and the state-owned papers Zambia Daily Mail and Times of Zambia, as well as The Post. However, there are several private television stations with smaller audiences, some independent papers, and a growing number of private and community radio stations. International broadcast services are not restricted. Radio remains the medium of choice in most of the country because of the cost of access. The cost of newsprint and ink printing and distribution remain very high, which hammers the media outlets' ability to increase their readership. Majority of advertisement come from the government, with private corporations tending to withhold advertising in fear of government retaliation. Despite the attempted blocking of some critical websites, the internet remains one of the freest spaces for journalists and bloggers to express criticism of the government. I will now speak on the social aspect within Zambia. The Zambian culture is made up of 75 tribes. Many of the tribal customs are still practiced in rural areas, as the urbanized youth have adapted to Western behavior. Greetings are always exchanged before conversation, with gifts offered to a visitor as a sign of honor. Zambia's diverse culture brings them with a wide variety of traditional skills, including crafts. Men usually do the woodwork while women work with clay. With Zambia being a culture with males solely empowered throughout all aspects, there has been a very high level of discrimination against women in social institutions. When executing the public relations campaign, we as an organization may encounter a few issues. Entering Zambia can possibly have a few risks, with the patriotic force being in power. Many organizations choose not to advertise their products and services due to the possible government retaliation. This can cause an issue for the organization because the campaign will not receive the necessary publicity to achieve a high level of brand awareness. However, as some organizations have done, the risk can be taken. Radio is a popular advertising medium in Zambia, with print and ink printing being very costly. Using social media may also be an issue because while the internet remains one of the freest spaces for journalists and bloggers, in some parts of Zambia, which is the rural parts, it is very costly and not used often. When presenting the PR campaign, we must be cognizant that the culture of Zambia is different than that in the United States. We must understand the differences in gender roles, social class, the economy, and other major factors within the culture. If not understood, this can cause a disconnect with our target audience. Thank you.